all the way down into Ausable Forks. When you flip it in Ausable Forks, that's when there's a couple of hills there, and you didn't really realize you were going down on the way out, right? You're like, I'm just a speed god or goddess, and then you find out that you are not, right? And so be aware of that tomorrow, and set your landmarks accordingly. For me, on the way out, there's right after you make the turn, there's actually a little climb. So you've made the turn in Keene, you're flat, a couple rollers, and then 9 takes a right. Right, you go over the bridge, 9 takes a right. Right after you take that right, the road goes up. It's a false flat for maybe half a mile, 3/4 of a mile. So I'm smart there because I'm not going to get too caught up. I'm going to be smart there. I get over the top of that. Then it's kind of open. It's usually kind of windy. Either it's for you or against you on race day. Hard to say. But just be smart. Stay in your aero position. And you notice there was a parking lot on your right with some construction going on in it. Today there's a dump truck there or a digger. Just before a little hill. That's usually an aid station area. They put it right before a hill, which is awesome. Just slow down to get your bottle and try and climb a hill. You pop up over that hill, and then it's pretty much almost all down into Ausable Forks. There's a couple landmarks there. I saw the Granite Company today, and then obviously flipping it down at the bridge and coming back. On the way back, I think there's 2 pretty distinct hills on the way back. Tomorrow I have to get more landmarks myself. But as you go through tomorrow, really start to benchmark your progress. Don't do the bookend thing where you're thinking, oh, I'm going to be back here in 30 minutes, because you just don't know how that's going to work out on race day. So go down to Ausable Forks, come back, and then you take the right, the dreaded right-hand turn at the brick church to start the climb. That is the race on race day. That right-hand turn is the race on race day. Because Hasselton is now nothing. It's just a little quick dinky out back. And the climb back into town is tough, but there's plenty of places after Whiteface, plenty of places to recover. But that first section of the turn, as you get back on, is that 86 there? Yeah. When you get back on 86 there, that is legit, right? You're going up for a pretty long time. There's a couple places where it levels out, but you're still going up. So you really need to be smart there. Usually every year, I haven't raced in a couple of years, but like every time I raced, there was some dude there who was like 317, 318, just counting everybody who goes by, you know, and you're just like, oh God, this is terrible, middle of nowhere, like what's this guy doing, you know? There's some people playing bongos out there. Just be smart about that pacing section until you get to the top of that hill. Once you get over the top of that hill, you get a nice quick descent. You can roll through. Usually, again, you can stay in your big chain ring if you get enough speed over the top of that hill, down and around. That area is actually usually kind of exposed as you make that descent, that quick turn to the left. Most people don't look because you're looking at the road, but if you look to your left as you make that descent, it's actually a pretty open area there, and there's a lot of wind that usually comes off the mountain. We didn't get hit with it today, but you can get hit with some side winds there. So be smart about that. Then it kind of starts to level out, and then you've got a couple rollers, and those are the rollers that everyone forgets about. Everybody remembers the climb to the hill. Everybody remembers the amazing descent to the flat part. And they remember coming back into town. But they don't remember those last couple hills after that first section on 86. I have my own little mental benchmarks around those areas. Like I said yesterday, the church that has the little kitschy sayings on the side of it. There's a couple motels there. Whatever it is, you need to figure out your personal line at the top of the hill. What's your line again?
It's the power pole with the yellow guide wire. And
okay.
The next one after that you're
then you're officially done with the climb.
But you can see the yellow guide line and the guide wire all the way up the hill.
Right. So good. So you have to find your personal benchmark so you know that's the end of the hill. Because as I mentioned on race day, there'll be a lot of external stuff going on around you where people will, you know, I mean, I've literally had guys next to me drop the F-bomb and just shifted 3 gears higher and just start hammering. They're like, I just want to get it done. You know what I mean? And if I was like, oh, this is the race, I got to follow this guy, it's not the race, right? So be very smart through that whole section, especially because we used to have the out and back to recover, but we don't have that anymore. So you move right from that section, you got a quick jaunt on Hazelton, but then you're climbing back into town. So there's 2 pretty serious climbing sections stacked up. And don't forget, once you get into town, you still have to climb out of town. Like this isn't the top, right? You have to actually climb out. So there's a lot of climbing involved here. So really focus on that section tomorrow. If I were to say, if there were any point in time where I would want to tap you on the shoulder and be like, please pay attention, it would be that right-hand turn on 86 until you hit the gas station. Really, really memorize that turn. So you do the out and back on Hazelton, and then you come back into town. This is the climb into town, same deal. The road is pretty crappy at the start. It gets a little bit better. The climb to Whiteface is legit. I think it really starts at the that bridge with the grate and the rushing water that goes underneath it. The road starts kicking up before that. You go up there, it kind of levels out a bit, but usually there's a sick headwind. I mean, we have had people blown off their bicycles when they come up over that hill at the top of the bridge. Typically, there's a pretty strong headwind. We lucked out today. So don't think you're going to pop over the top of that and be like, woo, I'm going to start flying again like we did today, because usually you don't. So it's a pretty good slog until you hit Whiteface. Whiteface is tricky because you got that little dip of a bridge before it. It takes a lot of speed out of you. You pop up over it, and then you can see Whiteface, and you're already going like only 9 miles an hour. And you're like, this is awesome. How long will it take me to reach that sign? So you make it up to the sign, but lo and behold, you're not done yet because you've got to actually climb up beyond the sign. You've got that climb up to the picnic grounds. That's a serious climb there. Do everything you can in your capacity to not get out of your saddle and get your bike over that hill. Shift gears, sit back, sit up, whatever it takes. Spin full circles, but try not to get out of your seat. We want to conserve your energy for the climb back because there's plenty of places where you can go fast. But if you start throwing energy watts around just to get over the top of this hill because you want to get done with this hill, you're going to miss out later in the day. So stay in your seat. If you need to, consider getting new gears. I've already talked to 3 or 4 people here. We're thinking about getting new cassettes. What's your verdict? New cassette?
I ran 1227.
Oh, okay.
Prepared.
All right, you're prepared. Good. Okay. So, once you get over that climb by the picnic ground, it drops down a little bit, and you're like, oh, okay, I get to go fast again. But as soon as you make that right-hand turn, the road goes up again, and you have to. So know that you're not really technically done. You get a brief reprieve, but you still got to climb up around the right-hand turn. Once you get to the top of that climb, the road bends left. Everybody with me? We're bending left. My wife hates this when I do this because I have no idea where you are. The road bends left, and then you can see the 5,000 feet of waterfalls, scenic view center, which only appears to have about 20 feet if you look at it, but I guess they're hidden in there somewhere. When you get to the top of that, you get a nice drop down, and you go over a bridge. That is fast. For me, that's my fast place. I drop a couple gears in. I get the cranks turning. I drop down over that bridge, and I can TT right through that area with the parking lot. And then the road curves up to the left. It looks like you're going to enter the dreaded rock wall area. But if you're a strong cyclist or you can keep your momentum, you actually don't really need to shift out of your big chain ring. You just you keep riding along there. You can actually pop up over those 1 or 2 little fake brick wall areas. You're not really worried about the road going up again until you see the yellow sign where it says the road narrows. They're doing some construction over there right now. When you see that sign that says the road is narrowing, then you're going to hit the real rock wall section where you really have to start working it. And when we climb hills, this is where we really care about how you climb hills. When you're climbing a 10-minute hill like the ski jump hill, everybody kind of gets it. Either you know how to do it from the beginning, or halfway through your body says, hey, jerky, what are you doing? Like, I can't do this, as I'm only a mile 2, I got 110 more miles to go. Figure it out, right? But on this return climb into town, you absolutely want to be on your A game. And your A game is whether you're in the hoods or you're in the aero bars, you're riding up, you're using all your gears, you're keeping your effort as steady as possible up the hill, which means that you're slowing down. Effort steady, speed drops up the climb. And the minute you get to the top and you start to see the speed pick up, or you see the watts start to drop, whatever you have on your bicycle, that's when you shift, right? So I do like boom, boom, boom. I'll do 2-3 shifts, whatever it is, or sometimes I need to go back into my big ring. I'm usually in my aero bar, so I pop my butt out of the seat, and I do like 10 pedal strokes, and whatever bigger gear I'm in right now, and I sit back down again, and I'm instantly gone from 9 miles an hour to like 15 miles an hour in like 25 feet, okay? And then I'm halfway up that next hill. I have to shift all my gears again, but I do it again. It's a little game you play. Everyone around you who's racing, who doesn't do it, hates it, because they pass you on all the hills, they got to go around you, and then you pass them going down the hill all the time, right? And then eventually, after 3 or 4 times of that, you never see them again because they run out of energy and they can't keep playing that game because they're just coasting on the downhill. They lose all their speed. They're never fully recovered for the next hill. You are flatlining your efforts. You never spike it, so you're okay going over all those hills. Okay, so you get through that section, through the Rockwell area. It kind of levels out again. You get to go fast again. You kind of bump it around. And eventually, it opens up, and you start taking a sweeping right, There's a road on your left, that's the run course, but you never come out that far. And that's where you hit Little Cherry and Big Cherry, and then you have the Mama, Baby, Papa Bear. Big Cherry is awful this year. Someone decided to drive something over the road. I don't know what it is. Anyone else notice that? Yeah. I was just like, it's awful. So, yeah, so be mindful of your stuff. You probably learned a couple things about your water bottle setup today. That's certainly a place to be mindful of it. And there's a lot of debris on the road on race day as well, something else to just be aware of. I almost ended my race here in '06 on the out and back section because someone's bottle had come off and it starts twisting as it goes. You don't know which way it's going to end up going. It's like a football bouncing, you know, and it almost caught me on my front wheel. So be very mindful of all that debris and just take care of your own stuff. But
do they sweep the roads before the Ironman?
they do sweep the roads before the Ironman, but if it rains,
Yeah.
it's as if they never did, you know. So you have to be aware of that. So Little Cherry, Big Cherry, Big Cherry's a real big hill. I mean, you just kind of have to spin over the top of that, get your momentum down the other side, and then it's Mama, Baby, Papa, and those are in order of their size. Again, between those areas, you can pick up some good speed. Papa Bear on race day is lined with people. Everyone kind of walks out of town during the bike, and they all line that hill and cheer for you. It's pretty cool. So be smart about climbing. Don't get too carried away. Now, when you get to the top of Papa Bear, you're like, I am done. Then you got to make this right-hand turn, which like somebody made into a wall, filled it with sand. And then, of course, you're like, you get over that, you're like, I'm good. And then there's another hill after a strange speed bump-like object in the middle of the road, right? That throws you out of your aero bars. There, people are on that hill as well. Once you get over that hill, then you descend down towards the lake, and you're pretty good to go. When you come down that hill, you take a left to go to the lake. As you're coming around the lake, where it starts to open up again, you can see on the right, there's an actual kind of like little driveway area, like open, empty parking lot area on the left. That's where special needs is. That's where special needs will be on the day. So as I said yesterday, you know your number. The guy is trying to read your number as you ride at him at 20 miles an hour, so please help him by telling him your number. I'm 668. He'll call it out. You see the bins lined up. Pull up to the pretty close area where you think you should be. Someone will come over and you say, hey, can you help me out? They will say yes. You have them hold open the bag and you do what you need to do. Get out what you need to get. Then, like I said yesterday, I definitely recommend stretching. I stopped twice today to stretch, once at halfway and once at like mile 75 because I was seriously hurting. But I crack my back both ways, I touch my toes. Anything to open up your chest and stretch your back because you spend so much time hunched over. We'll know whose bike fit is good tomorrow morning. You see, you get on the bike and everybody goes, their head just drops down, they can't hold their helmet up anymore because their neck muscles are shot. So definitely stretch in that area and then make sure you pull away safely. In general, that means your loop is done. On race day, you take a right behind the tennis courts and you kind of go up a little bit and you drop down, you go up behind the high school. Some little admin time, there's a lot of fans there, you won't even really remember it. But that's really how the race plays out. So thinking about the race for the bike, just backing up for a second before I take some questions on a macro level perspective. Starting is important. That first, we tell people to JRA, just ride along for the first hour and a half on race day. That includes this section here. You don't get to a hall pass to ride hard up these hills, and then you'll cruise later because it'll be better. If you've ever looked at someone's heart rate file or power file, you'll know that once the heart rate goes up, it takes forever to come down, even if you're doing nothing. Okay, your body doesn't know any different. So if you go hard for 45 minutes at the top of the climb, and you're like, I'm just going to coast, I'll be fine. By the time you get to the bottom, you've done no work, but your heart rate is still, your heart doesn't know that. You know, you don't get those beats back. So JRA for an hour and a half. So tomorrow, figure out where an hour and a half is for you roughly on the day and draw that line on the sand and say, okay, I now, at this point in time on my day is where I get to begin to really start doing some steady work on the bike. Okay, until that point in time, you're taking every opportunity to be cheesy. The minute you hit 32, 33, 34 miles an hour, you run out of gears, you get aero and you think, do I need to eat, drink, stretch, pee, whatever it is you need to do it at that point in time. Right? Don't do it when you're going up a hill, do it when you're going down the hill. So you may even be able to work out your nutritional rhythm over the course tomorrow as well. So you're not trying to do those things at points in time where it's not so good for you. So start smart. First hour and a half is very smart. I would say your bike ride really doesn't begin until you take that right back on 86. If you say, okay, now I'm really going to start to think about, if I had to draw a physical line for everybody, this is where the race really kind of starts on the bike. take that right turn back on 86, and that's where you say, okay, time to get to work, how do I feel?